hello, audio, video too, folks. It has been a hot minute. It's been a while, and guys, I miss you. I know it's a terrible thing to hear, but I miss being in our classroom. I miss doing stuff. I miss doing projects. I miss the stupid conversations we have. But we're here. We're making it through COVID-19, and you guys are doing an amazing job already getting your stuff in and making sure it looks good. Those of you that are still having trouble getting your assignments in and getting all of your stuff acclimated, guys, find me on Google Meets, find me in my email. I'd be happy to take you through it and walk you through it step by step. I am literally in Google Meets almost 24/7. I think somebody came in at like 5 p.m. yesterday or the other day and said, I didn't think you were going to be in here. I was just checking out the room to see if it was still around, and we had an hour-long conversation just about junk. So if you are interested in getting help, Google Meet is the place to be. Type in the room Fitzwater, F-I-T-Z water, and of course you'll be able to talk with me. Let's get this stuff nailed down. I think I've helped Dylan tons of times already. I've helped some of you probably 3 or 4 times thus far in this class. And almost every time you guys get help, you get A's. Almost every time. Probably once or twice that you didn't, it's just because you forgot to put some stuff in there, didn't do something correctly or format or whatever, and that's not a big deal because you fixed it later. Not a big deal. So, hey, guys, come into the Google Meet. I want to make sure that I get you guys acclimated to the assignment. Make sure that you guys know exactly what you're doing. One thing I've noticed is that we've had a few people that come in and say, hey, don't know how to do this, and then you just don't do the work. That's not going to fly. You're going to get a 0 for it. Sorry, guys. I don't have any remorse for you because I've given you every opportunity to come and ask help. You have my email. You have my Google Meet room. You have Google Hangouts. You have GChat, which you can access from Gmail. Your Gmail screen. Just go in the bottom left-hand corner. You can find me on the Google or the YouTube comments. Guys, you have 5 different ways of accessing me. Okay, and I answer emails on a turnaround basis of about a few minutes, most likely. If it's something a little bit more difficult, it's something I need to go change or fix for you, then I will go do that and then get back to you to make sure that I have everything set up and fixed and ready for you. I hope that you guys are using all of the means that you have and information that you have to your advantage. Let's go ahead and get started and talk about your assignment for this week. If you haven't already, if you haven't already figured this out, this kind of, I guess you could say, formula that we've been doing. There's only 2 submissions per assignment. All you got to do is get in the attendance. Guys, attendance is going to be its own grade. If you're only doing 1 sentence per journal, you are most likely going to get a 30. Okay, don't do that. It's not worth it. Make sure that you do the required journal, sentence structures. Guys, put just a little bit of time into it. It takes like a minute, 2 minutes to put 3 sentences together. It's not that hard. The idea is to hopefully get you guys to continue working on creating sentence structures in your head so that you don't completely lose your minds before we get back into our regular routine next year. Guys, I'm super excited about next year. I keep getting new information, and I can't wait to release some of that information to you. We're going to talk about ACA here in a second, so don't fret for those of you that are taking ACA. I know you saw my email yesterday. We'll talk about it here in a second. Let's go ahead and get into your assignment first and foremost. This is making a film. This is documentaries. You went over narratives last week. Guys, some of those narratives were really interesting. I'm really interested to see how some of those would actually flesh out. Some of you have some really dark minds too. Those of you that know who I'm talking about. Yeah, good for you, but geez. All right, so let's talk about your assignment this week. So here's the first submission, guys. You're going to be putting together a documentary. It's a basic idea from last week. You're just doing it for a documentary this time. You had the narrative structure for your content last week. This week, you get the documentary structure. It's that simple. You guys already know how to do this. If you didn't do too hot on last week's stuff and you need to come get some help or you need to come ask a question, guys, come ask a question. All right, here it is, the weekly assignment. You're going to come up with your own idea for a documentary. Can be on anything, okay? It just can't be on Tiger King. Once you have an idea, we will, of course, create a beat sheet for it. You know how to create a beat sheet already. You created one for your narrative last week, and now you're going to create one for your documentary, okay? Make sure that you capture the story of the documentary, okay? Most people think, oh, it's a documentary, we're just telling people a bunch of information. Not true. There's a storyline in every documentary, the beginning, middle, and end of every single story. If you're using, for example, a documentary on the documentary that we did on the high school, okay, we had a beginning. There was the high school's, past, the present, and the future, right? We had an act 1, act 2, act 3. Make sure that you do that correctly, all right? Because that's going to be a huge part of your grade here. All right, all you got to do is click into submission 1. Yes, it has the same exact image up here at the top. Don't fret. It's okay. At the bottom, I've changed it up for you. It's not green this time. It's purple. So this is your beat sheet for your documentary. Make sure that you answer those questions. Introduce the protagonist, hook the reader, set up the story and conflict, foreshadowing. Put that here, an inciting incident. Tell me what it is that happened. So here's an example from our documentary that we did when we were doing the past, present, and future of our documentary. They had the inciting incident was new school being built, right? We actually started with that in Act 1, right? We started with the new school. We may have started in the present. But we outlined some of the issues that were happening with school. So, like, we didn't have enough capacity, we didn't have enough teachers, we didn't have enough means. And in that, we also found that we needed, what's the second portion? The launch of a dilemma. How are we going to solve those issues? Well, getting a new high school. So, Act 2 goes over the new high school. Act 3 goes over the climactic portions of the past, and then of course gets to the very edge, which is like, oh look, we've been growing and growing and growing. The resolution is check out this new high school, and at the very end we put that little flyover of the new high school and all the stuff that we're doing in it, right? So I wanted to just kind of give you guys an example. Beat sheets, easy. You have any questions, guys, pop into Google Classroom or pop into Google Meets, message me in Google Classroom. Find me in my email, jordan@fitzwatercommunityist.org. You can find me in the YouTube comments as well. That is submission 1. Submission 2. Let's go ahead, pop in here. This one's easy as well. I think this is a film study. So you've never done one before. That's okay. You're gonna do one now. I wanted to be in the classroom to give you an example of this. We were actually going to watch a short film and do a short documentary film that was about 9 minutes long, and then we were going to do our own film study over it. We don't have the opportunity to do that, unfortunately. I'm about to yawn. I'm sorry. Woo! We don't have the opportunity to do that. The only reason, COVID. So let's go ahead and talk about this here, and now that way I can give you an example of how to do that. So for example, if I were watching our documentary on the new high school, I would state the title of the film, the year it was released, and briefly describe the film and what it's about. So, title, Community High School, past, present, and future. What did we do in it? Well, let's go ahead and briefly describe it, okay? Most of you are, I don't think anybody's actually got this in yet. Okay. I'm actually going to change one thing about this submission that way that you guys can do this make sure that you're adhering to sentence requirements as you go down this. Oh, no, I was right before. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was right before. So each of these should be answered in 5-sentence paragraph form. Make sure that you do that well, okay? Because the first assignment's super easy. You guys most of you pop it off in probably about 5-10 minutes, and then you come down here, and this is the way that we kind of understand that you know how to analyze a film well. All you're doing is answering these questions to analyze this film well. Okay, make sure that you're doing this within good reason. Make sure that you're doing this film study with a documentary that has something that you're interested in mind. If you don't, most likely you're going to get stuck in this kind of laissez-faire way of doing work. You're going to hate doing this assignment if you're not doing it over something you like. Find a documentary you like, something that interests you, okay? If you need help and you're like, man, I don't know if this is a documentary, email me. Come figure it out. All right, so let's go to the top here and let's talk about this. Word for word, walk it down. Let's see what we got, okay? So state the title in the film. We just did that. Briefly describe what the film is about. So my film is called da-da-da-da-da-da. It starts off with the idea of da-da-da-da-da. It then enters the climax of da-da-da-da-da. Then has a part where we kind of see this, and this happen in the second act. That's 4. And then the 5th can be conclusively this documentary has allowed people to be educated on the idea of the high school and its newfound glory. Okay, 5 sentences, super easy. I just did that in 5 seconds. Okay, identify people, places, events, aspects of people, society, nature that are the focus of this film. Describe and clarify the significance of each. Okay, so identify people. So talk about Miss Young. There were the places that we interviewed were in such and such and such and such. There were multiple different avenues and places that we did this. We did this in Mr. Fitzwater's classroom, as well as focusing on the film's timeline to get a significant climax out of it, right? Putting the past last. And then, of course, we went down. That's 4 sentences. Easy, okay? And you just have to come up with a 5th. All right. Number 3, list 6 facts described in the film that impressed you and explain how each fact relates to the film's premise or theme. Premise meaning its idea or set of ideas that create its theme, right? 6 facts described in the film that impressed you. So go ahead and put 6 facts, right? 6 facts, 5 sentences, super easy, okay? Nonfiction can enrich viewers. I'll probably need to put 6 on that. Nonfiction, each one of these is going to have its own kind of, quirk. This one specifically is how did this documentary change your thinking about a specific thing or idea or place? So, this is nonfiction, right? It's real, non-fake, right? Describe an aspect of the film that showed you something that you hadn't seen before and caused you to see something in a new way. For example, you might see some people might see the high school as something that is taking all their tax dollars, when in fact it is a way for us to better teach and better facilitate our students. That could be a way that you say, oh, they see that in a lot of different way now. Maybe it's not you that doesn't see that in that way, but it's somebody else that sees it in a new and inspiring way. Okay. Number 5 was there anything that you saw or heard in the film that was unconvincing or seemed out of place? Something that just didn't seem right. One thing that I would say that didn't seem right is one of the images that we used from the past. That's actually of a building that doesn't even exist in Community ISD anymore. But it also never had anything, like nobody talked about it. So because nobody talked about it, we don't really know what it was. It was just a random building in the middle of the, it was just a random building. And so that would be a great thing to put here. Talk about that random building. Talk about a few different things that happened in that film, okay? That were just a little bit out of place that you didn't think seemed right. Okay, what particularly appealed to you in the cinematic presentation of the film, such as maybe the way that they do scenes, images, how are sounds presented? Did they have clipping in their sounds? Maybe it was something too quiet. Maybe it was a really cool transition. For example, the way that the music really well underscored somebody that was talking and just this emotional moment. You don't talk about it. Tell me something that struck you as awesome. Maybe something that struck you as terrible. You can do either one. There's tons of stuff that you can use to create those 5 sentences. If the filmmakers were to ask you how the film could be improved, what would you tell them? Okay, suggest in detail different suggestions and things that they could do to better kind of create this film. So for example, if we were talking about our film, our documentary, I would say, tighter angle shots, using the 180 degree rule better, white balancing, audio figures look a lot better. Recording audio in a more simplistic way would probably be a little bit cleaner. Recording it into the camera instead of trying to record it into the recording it into the camera instead of trying to record it into the H6. Probably a good idea. Think about those types of things. All right. The next one. If someone asked you whether you would recommend this film, how would you respond? Would you recommend it? Yeah, it's a pretty good film. It kind of gives you a new way to think about such and such and such and such. Yet at the same time, it has some of its own errors and things that could be improved. Explain your reasons for why you would or would not suggest this film. Okay, what type of camera angles and shots were being used in the interview process? Say, well, we saw in one of the interviews with Miss Blair Young that they used uh, uh, a tight top of the body shot. They also used a wide shot for Coach Green when they were both in the hallway doing that interview. Tons of stuff like that. Put those in there. Talk about those different camera angles. How could the director of photography improve his video capture, camera angles, emotional capture of the interviewees, and B-roll? Could he have used more B-roll? What could we have put in there? Is there something like some stock footage that we could have put in there? Is there some type of B-roll that he was missing that could have really enhanced this film? Put that in there, okay? And then of course your additional notations, things that you notice that were unique about the film, okay? This portion is still 10 points of the grade. Don't forget about this portion, okay? Give me some additional notations. What I mean by that is things that you notice about the film that were great, things that you notice about the film that were terrible, things that were a little bit more unique. So about our film, we had drone footage. Drone footage has not been used in in documentaries up until the last 2 to 3 years. Talk about that. The use of drone footage is going to be revolutionary to documentaries in the near future. So it's those types of things I want you guys to see. Put some unique ideas. What is it that's unique about this documentary that not a lot of other documentaries have the ability to utilize, or even the ability, or that they even note that they even have in them? Okay, so I want you to be able to do that. That is the end of submission 2. I hope that I've walked you through that really easily, really well. I know that this video is getting really long. Let's talk about ACA certifications real fast, and I'll send a little bit more information about this out later. You guys are going to have the ability to come in during the first 2 weeks of May. You're going to, of course, let me fade this in real fast. You're going to come in the first 2 weeks of May, and we're going to give you one of the 5 laptops that have our stuff loaded on it for these tests. You're going to have 24 hours to take the test. You're going to log in during that 24 hours. You're going to log in there at the school that way that we have you logged into the network. And then, of course, I can come in and do troubleshooting at a later time if necessary. You're going to log in at your home that you have Wi-Fi at. If you don't have Wi-Fi, we will try to find a different way to help you take this test. I think that almost everybody does, except for probably two or 3 people. So if you don't have Wi-Fi, not a big deal. We'll talk about it, okay? But this test, I don't know that it needs an internet connection, but we'll talk about it as we get into it. So this is how we make this work. First 2 weeks of May, you come up to the school, you log into the computer you're going to use. We take you through how to work the test. Literally, it's log in, open Photoshop, make sure the plugin's up on the right side, hit start test. That's all it is. Okay. Once you've done that, it looks exactly like it did with the one that we did in class. All you're going to do is you're going to take the test, go all the way through it, hit submit, be done. And then you're going to screenshot your test scores. You're going to send them to us using that laptop. Then you're going to bring that laptop up at the given time the next day. Now remember, you have to bring that laptop back up because the next day someone else has to take the test on that laptop. So if you need a different way of getting that to us, or you need to find a way to send it to us or whatever, make sure that you do that beforehand. That way that we know that we can get that computer back. Want to make sure that you guys know, of course, that you have you'll have the opportunity using EdPro. You can email me, say, hey, I'm having this technical issue. I'll pop into EdPro, pop into your computer and go, okay, this is how we fix it. I can even watch you take the test if you think that you're going to have some issues or trouble and you just want somebody there to help you take the test. I can do that as well, okay? So don't fret. We have that ability, but make sure you only have 24 hours to take the test. Once you've logged into that computer, you have 24 hours. Take the test. Once you're done, you'll come up and bring it back. Then the next person will come up in the next group, okay? We have 20 people who need to take the test, so I'm honing in on the first week of May to make that happen. We already said that we were going to make it the 15th, but We're going to try to do it a week before. That way that you guys can just get this out of the way and you don't have to worry about it. All right. So you'll have the opportunity to take the test again if you need to. So if you fail the test, no big deal. We have tons of licenses to take the test. You can restudy for it and take it in the last week of May again. You'll have a 3-week turnaround to go back and go, oh, these are all the things that I missed. I need to know this information. Then go back and take the test again and you'll be good to go. All right. We want to make sure that you have a certification when you leave this place. You need to be able to have a certification, seniors or juniors. Juniors, you'll need it for next year because you'll be doing internships, and those internships are going to have a requirement on their job requirements for you to have a certification. Okay, you need it. Okay, so if you fail it, you need to go back and take it again. We will make sure that you have a certification by the time you get to the end of this year. Okay, if you need help, guys, find my email that I sent out the other day that has the Quizlets on it that give you all of the almost all of the information that's on that test. Make sure you go and look at those. Okay, I'll see you guys later. That is the end of all I have for this. That's the end of all I have for this segment. I hope that you guys are doing well. Find me in Google Meets. Find me in GChat. Find me in Google Classroom. Email me at jordan.fitzwatercommunityisd.org. Hope that you guys are having a phenomenal week. Be safe, and I will hopefully see you at the end of the year.